stay down, down. I'm just stuck here in a dream. Back at the bottom of the ocean. I'm at the bottom of the sea. I'm gonna stay down, down. I'm just stuck here in a dream. I'm at the bottom of the sea. I'm gonna stay down, down. I'm just stuck here in a dream.
Freedom is the right of all sentient beings.
It's 3 a.m. and the sirens are going off. Another rocket attack. I've got my boots and got my ammo in my 50-pound sack. A 100 boys headed to war in this world unknown. The only peace of mind I've got are these letters from home. Another day has come and gone. Another night I'm all alone. I didn't think I'd be this far out here. Out here. tell you about it, but it ain't the same. All these thoughts that run through my head, well, they can't be tamed. Another day has come and gone. Another night I'm all alone. I didn't think I'd be this far out here in Kandahar. Another day has come and gone. Another night I'm all alone. I didn't think I'd be this far out here. We ain't far from Kandahar.
And it was just fun. And as we're grooming a horse, we're telling our story.
You get to see somebody who's never been around.
What do you want to do? What do you want to do with the rest of your life? You've got a passion. Well, let's go for it.
To apply, go to warhorsesforveterans.com.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Do you ever have one of those moments where you think, how the hell did I get here? Jeez, what happened to me? I was ruling the galaxy, had a cherry new battle station. I mean, this place had an omelet bar, a straight-up omelet bar. And now look, my former intern's tossing me down a bottomless freaking pit. You know, come to think of it, my whole life has been a series of what the moments. That was my out.
The voice of U.S. Army. WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
I looked my woman in the eye sockets. I told her straight out. I just said it, man. I said it. I said, bitch, I'm the man of the house.
Yeah, you said bitch, though. You called your wife a bitch.
Yeah.
This is a public service announcement from C.T. Fletcher. I will not contribute to the pussification of a nation. Get your punk ass out there and work for it, motherfucker.
Let's roll.
break them off some. That's right, baby. Yeah. Broadcasting live from the Functional Veterans Center of Excellence this 24 August. Yeah, 2020. Politics, meteors. You know the deal. Shit, it's WTF Nation Decides 2020 every Monday until the election. Oh, damn. All right. God, what a hectic day today. It's just been a fucking Monday. I could not have had any. I mean, Joe Evans is coming on, so we're gonna have a cup of Joe. So I'm drinking coffee to kind of, get my little, but it's just one of those fucking. But I'm not drinking coffee. I mean, I'm not. It's not for coffee, like to get hyper or whatever. It's just I'm feeling like ass all day, man. It's just one of those. It's just one of those ass days. It just feels like ass.
It is Monday.
Yeah,
it's the Mondayest Monday ever.
Oh my God, it's the Monday of Mondayest ever of all Mondays of excellence. That's right, man. Woo, buddy. God.
I can tell with baby ice in the
background. God, there's protesters outside Buckingham Palace. The Republican National Convention kicked off today. And already today, and it's already causing drama, everyone's talking about how comparison of which, and this is the shit that I like. If there's anything else that we'd like to see, I like to see a good dumpster fire, and I like to see people who are so calm and comfortable be uncomfortable with this. This is great. No, it is. It's really great. It's because you see individuals that are at politics. You are seeing politicians that have talked about being cordial and having some decorum just lose their shit now, because this week it's the other side. And oh my God, this is some awesome stuff. Where it is, real quick, breaking news. Supposedly, Kim Jong-un is in a coma. He's in a Korean coma, and supposedly his sister has ascended to power and taken and is now in charge of the country. And
I mean, didn't he start off 2020, with the coma?
He did. He started off 2020 dying already. I'm about to say, dude, like I was telling
Sleeping Beauty here.
Yeah, I was telling a friend of mine, hey, he's only died twice, man. He's amateur. You get on my level, son.
But has he been on, makes you wonder if he's been in a coma this entire time.
I think, wasn't there appearance of a body double or something like that, or I don't know.
I can't remember. 2020 has been so hard to keep track of
you can't keep track of anything when it comes to the 2020-ish.
You just shrug your shoulders like,
yeah,
okay,
right.
Whatever.
It's like, oh, this is happening.
Fuck it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not only this is not politics, but there's a freaking meteor coming a car-sized meteor headed to Earth, headed our way. First it was, it's not going to hit us. Now NASA's like, oh shit. So this is the 2020 of 2020s that could have happened on a Monday of excellence was today.
Well, maybe they should put the meteor on the ballot. Like, I have a meme up on my page right now.
You got a meme up of a meteor?
Giant meteor.
The way things are going right now, I don't care. I'm just surprised at a bunch of shit. I wouldn't be actually. I'm not surprised. I would just not be surprised. Now it's like, oh, now we have. As Pookie would say, we have Godzilla coming. Oh, yeah, now it's Godzilla. Oh, yeah, thank you. Cool. Yeah. Cool, yeah, Godzilla.
I'm going to grab my smartphone to record it.
Yeah, see that shit coming. What's okay. 2020 is the year of bad news that I think everyone, is, I don't know.
Like last week, like when you brought up was it UNC in that headline clusterfuck?
Yeah, exactly. UNC says that there's a clusterfuck, and it's just like an epic of epic. That's what she said, Bob. Bob says, even if the meteor makes a direct hit, it won't do any damage. That's too small. Okay, a car flying at you at the speed of a meteor. It's a car flying at you. The kinetic energy.
How much of it will burn in the atmosphere, though?
I don't know.
It's 2020, probably none at all.
I'm not a meteorologist. I'm not. That's weather guy. I was like meteorologist. I'm not. Not an astronomer. I don't know how to maths. I don't do the maths very well to understand what the trajectory is, and I have to lay out the trajectory of exactly. But this meteor 2020, just fuck it already. Just who cares? I mean, we've already had a lot of things happening. Everyone has had their lives fucked one way or another due to the Rona, and whether it be the effects of the close down or have had it, who cares, man? What's that? Are we going to give the meteor a better name than just 2018 VPI? Nah.
I would hope so. I mean,
Nah.
obviously, the COVID has a better name than that.
Well, yeah, right. I mean, the one, yeah, that's exactly that. The one in Russia was the size of a beer cooler, and it was massive, and it destroyed and made noises and caused cataclysmic damage, and it flew into a lake. Yeah, Russia gets all the good shit. See, you ever notice that? You ever notice all the disasters happen to the U.S.? It's like, you know, Russia is like, in all the movies, you know, it's always the U.S. getting messed up and all that stuff. And of course, you know, we end up saving the world like always. That's just the movies.
Does Russia like cola or beer?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or vodka. That's it.
Yeah, hold on, you guys wimp. Here's us. We're gonna up you, Russia. Our meteor is gonna hit us because they say it's coming towards us. So they didn't say specifically where, but knowing it'll hit us, we'll just have to, you know. And of course, the politics of it all is that it's arriving on election day. It's arriving. So if you're, I mean, fuck it. It'd be a good time to go ahead and just do some in-person voting, right? If a meteor is coming, you don't know what's going to hit. Better get your vote in. Oh, yeah. Russia's like, hold my vodka. So, anyways, to kick off the Republican National Convention on Monday, it just real quick how the media is going crazy because President Trump has already said about the spotty coverage of the roll call vote that renominated him as the Republican candidate, which he has a good point. I think there has been so much inundating. I thought it was kind of messed up that the Democratic National Convention was like an ongoing movie trailer. It was like a build-up to a movie that we haven't seen. Like, this new movie is going to come out, internet coming on here and blah blah blah. And, you know, it was just like kind of like, oh yeah, here we go. Here we're having some build-up. We got some speeches. We got some this, and they kept going and going and going and going. It just seemed like it was going. It was meme gold. It was enough material for memes. You know what I'm saying? That's how much of the Democratic National Convention was displayed on everywhere, on social media and all that. I didn't know it until I was flipping channels and I was discussing some of the stuff for politics when it came to, you know, our guest coming on, Joe Evans, that I was going to be like, oh, all right, well, are we got some, oh shit, the Republican National Convention's right now? I didn't.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I was kind of like walking by it and, but I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I was like, okay, well, I guess it's up. I guess we are good to go. I guess we are having our other point of view when it comes to this. So again, this all took place in hours before primetime hours that would make up clear how Republicans, like Democrats a week earlier, would keep viewers interested with a stripped-down convention because of the coronavirus pandemic. And all Democrats did the traditional roll call in a well-received television production with delegates stationed in their home state territory to proclaim allegiance to Joe Biden. Republicans had 366 delegates, a fraction of the normal amount, support Donald Trump at the Charlotte Convention Center in North Carolina. It was a split-screen moment for the news networks, which dipped in and out as they did their stuff. And then, of course, you know, Trump was complaining about CNN and NBC, which is rightfully so. They had, I think, all the news networks. If all the news and this is where everyone talks about mass media, fake news, and who's on what side with who's the news and all that. If you're going to show all that amount of time and effort for all that production and big, large production of having everybody see the Democratic National Convention, you should have the same amount of time and the same amount of efforts. Meaning, if you're using the national airwaves to push your stuff, and everyone likes to complain and say that Trump likes to use the media as a fucking prop for whatever and all this other shit, well, the Democratic National Convention is the same. They should have allotted and they should have had the same efforts for D. Treasy, so that way he could come on and show his wares as well. I just thought it was pretty messed up that we didn't see I don't see Joe Jorgensen.
I don't think we will ever.
Yeah. So
I want to.
Right,
I want to
right.
see her go up these two
Yeah, exactly. So his appearance, of course, was early in the convention. So MSNBC carried a countdown clock on the screen, promoting the evening coverage, followed by 3 cable news networks. However, ABC, CBS, and CNN cut away from speaking. So he even complained about Fox. He said he was complaining about Fox. He was complaining about Fox News. He was, when you're pissing off when D Treasy and your Fox News and D Treasy's talking shit to you, you better hey, what's up? Do you ever notice that the videos and ads on Facebook are only ones of a political party? You know, I noticed that too there, Pooks. I did notice that. So it's got to be fair. You can't sit there and say, "Oh, look at this," because I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of there's a lot of mean gold from the last from the Democratic National Convention.
No, okay, so when like Pookie brought that up about the like what you see on the ads, is that what your political party is? Because Facebook has been like asking me to register to vote here in Ohio for I don't know a while now. Like once you put all the information, I'm pretty sure Facebook knows, or even like what you post or follow on Facebook, towards your political affiliation, they should know what your political party is by then. So that's probably why, like with all the algorithms, why you only see those ads.
Well, when you think about it, though, Mom, the thing is that how do I say this? How do I say this without saying this? Saying that? I'll just say it. I don't care. I don't give a shit.
Fuck it.
There's a saying. This is 2020. There's a common meme that I use when it comes to social media, and it says, "You can ban me, but you can't ban all of me." I have various social media accounts that have said, "Be registered to vote in this state. Be registered to vote in that state. Be registered to vote in this state. Did you know that you could register to vote in this state? Did you know?" I'm thinking, but you're right. No, you're right. It's literally they're on the hunt. They're looking for you. Now, of course, there's been some complaints about voting by mail and absentee ballots, and the difference is that because an absentee ballot you request it, and a mail-in vote is not requested. Well, if you are a registered voter, if you are a Democratic or a Republican, and you're a registered Democrat or registered Republican, those ballots come to you unasked. So in other words, you're not going to be asking for it. It's unrequested. So you're going to get like a local judge or something like that come into the mail. So I received ballots. I just received a ballot. Holy crap! What's this? It's an absentee ballot. Where'd it come in? By mail. How do I send it out? By mail. So it's guess what, guys? It's a fucking mail-in ballot. You're right. You have to request a ballot, but if you're an unregistered voter, if you are a registered voter and you've registered with your specific party, you are going to get the ballot sent to you no matter what. Period. So it's kind of like, whatever. Now, there are individuals that are saying if you vote by mail or you do this, I'm probably going to get, I don't know, we're going to get some Facebook,
crashing?
I don't know. Are we going to get the Facebook? Because every time there's we talk about politics or whatever, Facebook, gets all about. You're listening from Vancouver, Canada. Wow. Oh, well, there you go. Well, thank you for listening on. Oh, wow, this is awesome. I'm digging this. So cool. Appreciate you hanging out, and that's awesome. So, Jason, thank you so much for you listening and all that. It's just kind of like, yeah, I'm loving it. That's awesome. This is so cool. Well, thank you so much for listening from Canada. Man, you must be listening to some great shit or seeing some great shit in Canada from some of our politics.
They're probably just laughing.
You're probably just laughing. It's like, what the hell is going on? Who's this? Who's that? When our guest comes on, Joe Evans. He's running for a candidate in Idaho District 1. Idaho's got some interesting politics in itself. So,
yes, it does.
So I'm gonna let him Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, all that area right there. That they have some interesting politics there. So I'm curious to see what he has to say. But again, when you talk about mail-in voting and all sort of stuff and a registered ballot, if a registered ballot is coming in, no one. I don't know. Is it scaring old people? Is it scaring you about mail-in voting or absentee ballots? Is it warning you? Is it? What's your?
So educate me. Is there anything different, or is there a difference between mail-in voting and absentee ballots? Sorry, ballots.
The absentee ballot is that you have to use. You have a ballot sent to you. Is that what you can fill out?
because you're not going to be able to vote.
Because you're not going to be able to vote in the state because whatever. Or you
you got to mail it in.
But you got to mail it in, right? But the only way to get it is by mail. So then when you fill it out and you put it in the envelope and you sign the bottom of the envelope, and then you put the envelope in the mail, then that means you have just voted by mail using an absentee ballot.
Okay, so and you just pray to God that they get it. And
You just
count
pray
it.
to, yeah, right. I remember the election and we had that big that was a farming scandal up in the upper, what was it, New Jersey or something like that, or New York? I can't remember. They found all these ballots in a freaking underneath the stairwell or some shit like that, and everyone's talking like, God, dude. Yeah, exactly that, Stefan. I was about ready to say. It's like the stamps are the new toilet paper. Even though you don't need a stamp to mail a ballot, it's postage paid. It's free. The postage is paid.
Or you can just go online and print that shit out.
Right,
and slap it
right,
on the packet.
right. Exactly. So you're kind of like getting that. You're gonna get it. So, if it's scaring old people, question eyes. I don't know. Is it scaring me? I mean, I remember when we talked about voting and I got found out and there was a specific case that had said that people who had voted out of this precinct and district voted 30 times for Trump and 30 times or 38 times or 40 times for Hillary. And I think I remember I told you guys about that. I think I was part of that crap because I was mailing out of that. And I was like, So, who knows? I'm just kind of curious to see what the what's the big deal? What's the I don't, is it scary? I don't know. Is it really for scaring old people though? I mean, do you think? Oh, God damn it! I'm voted this way for years.
About it though. Like, no offense to old people, but they.
None taken.
No, not you, but like it's just they do. They freak out when something new happens.
Oh God! How do I use the internet? It was really scary. Right? No, what's funny is that it's scaring. It's scaring a lot of old people right now because Internet Explorer is not going to be used at the end of 2020, and I literally saw some memes of people in Facebook groups, old senior citizen living. They're worried.
Really?
They're worried.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. They're worried about the because the internet the Internet Explorer is not going to be used. Then they want to know how they're going to use the internet then. These poor people, man. I'm like, you guys stop messing with old people, man. That's senior abuse. That's like, that's messed up, dude. Just scare those old senior citizens and thinking that there's going to be no more. Did you hear? Hey, Mom, did you hear about the internet's going to be bad? The internet's got an expiration date. I just think these poor old people are going to like, I don't know how to vote now. I don't know how to get my email. Oh wait.
Okay, so with the whole absentee thing, there has been issues in the past of absentee ballots not being counted at all,
right?
Especially from deployed service members,
right? Well, I mean, that's another thing too.
So I don't blame people for not trusting. For some reason, I was thinking
trusting.
Never
mind. Yep, trusting. You're not. Did you just say you're not trusting the Chodings? What was that? I'm sorry.
Trody. I was thinking the kid that did the pin thing.
Just want to say hi to our fans out there in Taiwan and Taipei. Appreciate you guys singing the national anthem. That's awesome. I'm so glad we have our audience reach out that far. So a high five to you guys for listening in. Thank you so much. Australia too. I see you, Paul. Man, pipe up, dude. You've been quiet for the last few weeks.
Anyways, what I'm saying is people are not trusting the mail-in voting. I'm just trying to combine words.
You need to vote on the internet. You need to vote on the internet, Mom. I just think it's fucking funny. They're picking on old people this. They are. Because now old people are like, shit, if they're messing with the mail, then how am I going to get my meds? Which a lot of them are some of the case, some of the veterans out there, or some of the older veterans.
I'm surprised they haven't really pushed for me, voting for online because we already do so much shit online.
Yeah, I think we should do it. Like if you have a driver's license, it should be like a cat card in the Army. It's like in the military, except not do it like the military. Just have like a card reader, and then you just slide your card in there, and then IDs you to a secure site, and then bam, you could vote. There you go. That's it. You don't have to worry about the farming. You don't have to worry about nothing because I mean, you're kind of credentialing anyways when you log in to use some of your other stuff, right? I mean, of the 50 accounts that I have to have specific passwords and cards and generated things to hook up to whatever. So,
I mean, you would think with the technology today, you should not be able to you should be able to safely vote with your identity online. Am I wrong?
Well,
yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, here's my thing. You would think in the amount of processes that we like to have, we like to have an advantage when it comes to doing certain and specific conveniences. I know with the COVID and all the plague drama and stuff, eating, you don't eat out anymore, but you can order now using apps and now using online ordering. You can do a lot of stuff now that you didn't think you could do. So if you were really an introvert, you would really you just don't have to worry about fucking doing shit. You know what I mean? You just whatever. But then again, you would not. I don't. Let's see. For some people who like to talk shit about not giving up a lot of information, they sure do give up a lot of information. If that makes any sense.
It does. It makes perfect sense.
As soon as somebody fucking posts something or says something, bam, you can get metrics so quick on somebody's account. You don't think you have. You think it's locked down. Everybody, to include myself. You think you got all your shit locked down. You think you're good to go. Then bam.
It's not.
Facebook won't let you do another fake account because they know where you're at. Damn you, Facebook.
When you switch internet services.
Right, damn you, Facebook.
You
Yeah.
get a new IP address.
Yeah, you got to use VPNs and stuff. You start getting into the tech stuff and start using anonymizing equipment. That's why I have the same iPhone that everyone's like, God damn, dude, that's like an iPhone 2. Isn't that? Did we just get kicked off of Facebook? Screw you, Facebook. But no, people don't realize how much information they give up just in tagging and just in facial recognition. That's why, that age, here I am now and here I am 10 years later. Here I am now and here, you know what I mean? That whole meme that was going on, that Facebook challenge that everybody was doing, and even Facebook came out and said, yeah, it was part of all that information we gave that you gave was part of the thing. So if you think your facial recognition software is not being used for you, sorry, people who like to use all them fucking filters, you're still gonna fucking find out. They're still able. I mean, you'll still be able to do it, right?
You'll still, you can go missing. We'll still find you.
Yeah, we'll still find you. Yeah. And that's why a lot of people are kind of like leery about using some of the technologies, like when the Army. I know this is in CERN's time. They're talking about the suicide app. If you want to talk to you or something like that, do you think now everybody who likes to squawk about we need to take care of our veterans and 22 a day and all this other stuff?
Yeah.
Do you think now we're going overboard that if you were to use that app and say that you wanted to hurt yourself and your phone turned into
doesn't just show up?
Your phone turned into a beacon, like your phone turned into a beacon automatically and was able to find you. Do you think that's intrusive? Do you think that's too much? Do you think that's not taking care of vets? You know what I mean? I'm just kind of like, your Facebook reads your dreams or something like that, or you talk to your sleep about the time you're in Indonesia, huh? Wow, shit. Yeah, my Facebook feeds are pretty interesting. It's just like, wow, I don't remember saying that. I don't remember thinking about that either. Did I really say that to that person? And then whatever. But anyways, going back to what I was saying. You're right. So, some things that if you're it's already been proven. It's already been a worldwide statistic. It's already been proven fact now that if you could protest, in public now, you can vote in public. You can if you want to do walk-in protesting, you can do walk-in voting. It doesn't bother me any. The whole guidance now is so out of whack on who to believe or who to not to believe about social distancing and COVID and all that stuff. Hey, okay, whatever. It's kind of like, all right, whatever.
So I posted a meme about like the whole mask wearing, which to me, I'm like, if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you don't, fucking don't. It's you do you. You know what I mean? So I posted this meme how people are playing instruments with slits in their mask.
Whoa.
So
oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
It makes no sense. You're forcefully blowing into an instrument. Your germs, everything is just going through all that shit.
You're blowing.
Yeah, exactly, blowing. And I'm like, this makes no sense. This makes no fucking sense. Like, none of this does.
Yes, it does not.
Yes, it does.
It does not. It doesn't make sense at all. Everyone's going to talk about this COVID crap, and then Somebody just said, yeah, exactly that. It'll be gone in November.
Yeah, it will be.
It'll be gone in November. Yeah, it's.
And I've seen the memes about people protesting in person about not being able to vote in person too. So it just does not make sense. None of this does.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But I'm not gonna sit there is have and have people attack somebody for not having a mask or not. Again, I gave you guys my story of my COVID experience, and you take that for what it's worth from what happened, because it happened to me and the boy. So it's one of those. Yeah. But I don't understand how come nothing happened to you. So how come you didn't do something with blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why nothing happened to me. I mean, I don't know why all of a sudden my chest got a little messed up a little bit for a second. And
I'll be honest, I think I had it in December.
Yeah,
like,
a lot
I was
of
in the hospital.
I have
all
friends.
of a sudden-
I have friends and family that from the period of December all the way up until about February, and then that one show that I did where I was really bad, I was really sick. I was on air and I was coughing and wheezing and Darth Vader breathing, all that crap, and I think I had it too. I think I just built up an immunity. Like I said, it's one of those things. I'm already pretty messed up anyways when it comes to any extra damage wasn't going to bother me anymore. But yeah, when it really hit home when Herman Cain got it and fucking died, I was like, what the fuck?
But did he really die from it?
Well, that's he had stage 4 cancer, didn't he? He was like, did he had some cancer? Didn't he?
Yeah, he probably had some pre-existing stuff too.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just
right. I just like to again. I am not a medical qualified personnel. I am not qualified in the medical realm, just like I'm not a meteorologist to talk about meteors. Just like I'm not a somebody who's involved in geology or astronomy to talk about meteors. I know what a meteor is. So I just go by experience and I go by the experts and what they tell me. Yeah, I am a COVID conspiracy enthusiast. I like to listen to some of the drama people talk. Oh my god, the dumpster fire thing is hilarious. So going back on WTF Nation decides 2020. All the ads now, like you were saying, that there's a lot of political parties that have political PACs, action groups and stuff like that that just you're right. You have been using YouTube and using Facebook for a lot of the ads that I don't see. How come I don't see Joe Jorgensen, Vermin Supreme, Donald Trump? I rarely see any D. Treasy stuff. Even though my my feed says that I'm moderate to conservative. Remember that one time you used to be able to find out. I think you still can what your political leaning was. Mm-hmm. It said it was moderate to conservative on I don't know, five of my accounts. One of them said I was libertarian. One of them said I was centrist. So that was pretty cool. There was a couple of them that said like that. There was a few of them like that. I rarely see any Treasy ones. I don't see no Donald Trump ones. I don't see any. I really don't any see.
To be quite honest, there has even watching cable TV. There's been hardly any political ads. Normally, this time of year, they're just running nonstop, and by the time October happens, you're just fucking let's vote for already. You know what I mean? It's there's
exactly.
hardly any this year.
Right.
Even with the primaries, there was hardly any.
I want to see some debates, man. I wanted to see some people going back and forth. I wanted to see Kamala Harris and freaking Mike Pence going back and forth. I wanted to see Biden and Trump have a couple of rope-a-dopes and just go. Have we seen anything yet on policy from either party yet? Have you seen anything?
No.
I know that. So it just came out today. I mean, today just started the Republican National Convention in Charlotte, North Carolina. I just wanted to see what the big hubbub was with any policy stuff. Do we get to see anything? Do we get to see any? Do we get to see anything like that? Do we get to see any? You know what I mean? I think the biggest news on that is some of the. I think some of the lower supportive and stuff like that. Everyone talking about who they should support or not support. But like you were saying, it's a dumpster fire. I mean, again, this is kind of like one of those things to where I want to see. I think there's more news on what Trump's people have been doing more than what Trump is doing. You know what I mean? It's almost like they don't.
Yeah.
Like what's his nuts? Was that Bannon? that dude. Steve Bannon was arrested.
Sounds familiar.
Steve Bannon was he's one of his advisors. You remember that?
Yeah.
Remember that one big we'll build our own wall. We're gonna build a wall. And that veteran, that amputee, that triple amputee or something like that.
Yes, and he just got arrested for some
he
illegal
got
shit.
Well, yeah, he got arrested for taking those funds to build the wall, and just kind of fucking use that. Did the funds go to the wall? I mean, come on, you think about it, man. We're gonna build the wall on our own. That's like the kids on South Park building a fucking stairway to heaven. It ain't gonna fucking work. It ain't gonna work. I mean, obviously there's some land permits. You got to do a lot of shit, but I just noticed that everyone's focusing on that as opposed to what policies are. Hey, look,
exactly. He's not even really tied to the whole wall with Trump.
Well, I mean, aside from taking the money, I mean, from that group, from that veteran, that is the news right there. That him and a veteran took money that was supposed to have gone to a wall.
Idiots.
Exactly. That right there from idiots that decided to donate. That right there is the story. I've still not seen anything what Joe Biden's doing for policy for veterans. I have not seen anything about the legalization of medicinal marijuana. I've not seen anything. We know everything on what's going on with the Second Amendment. We know what he wants to talk about, and we've already seen some of the videos and all this other shit on some of the stuff. But I have not seen anything like foreign policy, what we're going to do for taxes, how are we going to do recover. He's already talking about a national mask mandate already. So now I want to see what D. Treasy wants to say, and I don't know if anybody else can drop some links or shoot us a message or something like that later. I want to know because that's kind of my curiosity is kind of on that one right there because it kind of makes sense to have how do I say it kind of has it kind of gives you I want to see the width, the breadth, the depth of of who am I going to be voting for? Who you want my vote?
It's like they haven't earned it at all.
Right. I haven't seen nothing. I mean, the only thing exactly that D-Max. The only thing I've not noticed, I did notice, is that Biden didn't really attack Trump. Everybody else did, though. Everybody else did. I didn't realize our country was so fucked up.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we also
I'm being
wish
facetious.
Oregon's can debate too.
Yes, exactly. Now I'm being facetious, of course. Everyone's like, "Whoa!" Before I get all more fucking hate mail again.
Now I got to sort through it all.
I got to sort through the hate just because I said, no, it just made it look so gloom and doom. I just like, wow, you had that one. She's a reporter or commentator said that this is like Nazi Germany and shit. I'm thinking, no. I think there's some individuals that'll disagree that this is like Nazi Germany. Yeah, nice try. Nice try on your. Ooh, sorry. Nice try on your extreme attempts.
I'm still blown away how he picked Harris to be his running mate after all the shit they said to each other,
right?
And accused each other,
right?
And if someone came to me and accused me of all that shit, I'd be like, fuck you, you're on your own.
Yeah.
Like,
so Ken, you wanna be my running mate? No.
No, like.
No, I'm not gonna be your running to anything. I'm gonna be running to the bar and just whatever. Kind of done with that shit. You know what I mean? Just I'm gonna deal with your ass. Why would I want to have to deal with you if you've been shit talking me the whole time in front of everybody? I want to see, and it's just me, man. He has Harris for the attacks. I was about to say D-Max. I really wanted to see Tulsi Gabbard fucking go off on her again. That whole
that would be great.
That whole back and forth that those two had, it was freaking awesome. I don't know why everyone just shit on her. I don't know why. I don't
like. She would have been a better choice on Harris.
Oh
honestly.
Yeah, big time. Everyone was like, "Oh, you freaking raw because she does this and raw," going off on her. I don't know why. I don't know why. I'll get to the conspiracy theories after all this stuff is done, because I guarantee that there's going to be more drama happening as time continues. And we're on day 2. When we come up on day 2 of the Republican National Convention in Charlotte, North Carolina, I reached out to some people, say, "Hey, you want to come on WTF Nation Radio and let us know what's going on? Let us know, or you want to fly me out? I'll go check things out with you. Let me see what's going on. I'll do a WTF Nation live broadcast or a live hey, real quick, couple of feeds here and there. Fly me out and see what's up. I want to see what's going on. I want to see, I want to see what's happening. I want to see what's. I mean, this is kind of like it's a convention. I mean, is it really? Is it going to be that? Do they have people sitting around? Is it the same one as us? I mean, how just all digital and shit? Are they going to do the? I don't know. It's just like you said.
I don't know. We really didn't know it was happening.
Right, that's what I'm saying. There was no big. Yeah, there was no big hype. There was no coming.
Normally there is
coming soon. You know.
And there wasn't really a big hype with the Democratic National Convention either. It was like, bam, we're having it. Like, oh, okay.
Sunday, when the Republicans have the National Convention. North Carolina, be there. You'll pay for the seat, but you only need the urge.
You know how, like, some of the baseball teams, they were like, you could pay for a seat for the year. It's like your cutout face. Is that how the conventions are?
You know, I was about to say, you know what? I'm really tired of how sports are doing a lot of shit like that anyways. I'm kind of thinking everyone's like, oh, sports is not going to have that, and sports is not going to have this, and sports is not going to have that, and you can't have this, and you can't have... It's almost like, okay, stop. Who cares? Who cares? Yeah, that's a good question. What is going to be the dynamic of how it's all set up? Is it going to be just, you know, I don't know, just like you were saying, I don't know, just there was no fanfare. We were waiting. 2016, WTF Nation Radio, U.S. Army WTF Moments, we were excited for the primaries. We were loving it. It was on like Donkey Kong when we were recording and videoing and laughing and you know, doing day drinking while all this stuff was happening.
Now we're just like, it's happening.
Yeah, now we just said, yeah, it's like somebody's leaving cybernetic operating virus infectious diseases version COVID-19, yeah. It has electrolytes.
Seems legit.
Right. I wanted to see some good debates. Well, they cut out. Well, they did do a cutout of his face of Bin Laden. They recorded. Really, I didn't know that. Huh. Okay. That I did not know. That's a new one.
Like, what was the event in UK that he did Bin Laden's face?
I have no idea.
Soccer.
Good. Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
That would have to be some trolling shit.
Yeah, they had to have been. Hang on, let me see. Let me look up again. Just one more time before we go on a break, so that way we can have our guests come on. Republic National Convention. Let me get some deets on it. So they had specials. They had speakers. Okay, got it. So today was Tim Scott, Steve Scalise, Matt Gaetz, Jim Jordan, Nikki Haley, Ron McDaniel. Did I say that right? Ron McDaniel, Vernon Jones, Amy Johnson, Ford, Kimberly Guilfoyle, Natalie Harp, Charlie Kirk, Ken Kalsick, Mark and Patricia McCaussey. Oh, those are the ones that were in St. Louis, and they're like holding people at bay with their guns from that march. Sean Parnell, Andrew Pollock, and Donald Trump Jr., and then Tanya Benris. So
you know that we're like bringing, like with this election in North Korea, his sister taking over. I'm kind of interested in how that's all going to play out.
I am willing to bet nothing.
Okay.
I'm serious. I'm not really. I don't think anything.
Nothing's really played out.
I don't think nothing's
how many years.
Right, but I don't think nothing's gonna happen. I think it's just all hype. So
makes sense.
I mean, yeah, it's just like a change of power type thing. But I don't think it's gonna be any hype. But we're gonna go ahead and take a break right now, so we can get our guests ready, and then we'll be right back. So everyone, refill your glasses, go take a leak, smoke them if you got them. And we'll be right back. Shots.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Take it from me, Ice. You can't just float around space not caring about stuff forever.
The voice of U.S. Army. WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Shit in the bag, Pogue.
Nothing feels the same. Left it all behind.
Take a look inside your life. Is it so bad? Is this where you draw the line? 'Cause it's so sad. Tell me where you lost your faith. Is it so bad? Couldn't see it in your face. And it's so sad. I'll wait until you come back. Come back down to me. I'll wait until you come down. Come back down. Why you keep it in your head? Is it so bad? Never heard a word you say it, and it's so sad. Tell me when you lost your way, 'cause it's so bad. Won't see you when I pray, and it's so sad. I'll wait until you come back down to me. I'll wait until you come back down to me. I'll wait until you come back down to me. I'll wait until you come back down. Is it what you want? Is it what you need now? Is it what you breathe? Is it what you're feeling now? Is it what you feel? Is it what you're feeling now? Is it what you wanted? I'll wait until you come back down to me. I'll wait until you come back down to me. I'll wait until you come back down to me. I'll wait until you come back down. Hello, hello, you. Will you come back down to me? Hello, hello, you. Will you come back down? Hello, hello, you. Won't you come back down to me? Hello, hello, you.
I am here determined to stop this future atrocity.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show.
Idaho, running on the Libertarian Party, and I'd like to thank ICE for inviting me on this evening. So, what have we got going on?
Well, dude, tell us. I mean, first off, tell us where you're from. I know, sorry, we had some music playing in the background, but first off, tell us who you are, where you're coming from, and give us a little backstory about you.
All right, so I'm a U.S. Army vet. I spent close to 20 years in the Army before separating, and 4 tours in the sandbox. Did 3 in Afghanistan, 1 in Iraq. Did a little bouncing around with the Philippines and Korea and a couple other stations stateside. And coming back, trying to figure out what's going on with life, politics, and, you know, what the hell happened to that war that I was fighting in for so damn long. And started getting into activism and trying to understand, you know, where the politics laid with everything, and going, well, we need to do something to fix it. So I stepped back and went, okay, well, we got activists on every front. They're doing something here and there, a little bit of everywhere on just about every issue that I have a feeling for. And then I realized, you know what? We don't have politicians that give a shit about these issues. You know, they go in, they find their way into seats in Congress, and they go, well, what's actually going to benefit me, or what's going to benefit, you know, my donors more than my constituents, or even America for that matter. So, you know, maybe we need to do something a little bit more direct, you know, actually get working people back into Congress again, rather than politicians and lawyers and the people that are just interested in the money aspect of it. So that was me over the last, you know, 4 years, taking a look at what was going on. And, you know, 2 years ago, I made a run for the state Senate. Did pretty decent for a three-way race as a Libertarian candidate. Came out with about 5.5%. And I thought, well, we need to keep pushing the message. So here I am running for Congress right now.
Okay.
And my big issues, you know, is of course bring our troops home.
Right. I was about to say, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, but absolutely, bring our troops home. You know, we're looking at the majority of veterans right now that are looking, you know, even if it was worth fighting at one point, it's well past that point now.
Right.
I have kids in the service right now. I got a son in the Air Force. He's in Korea. You know, I got a daughter who's in the Army. She's at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, helicopter mechanic. You know, but I got kids right now that could be walking the exact same ground, you know, I walked. You know, 6 months I could be getting a picture, you know, from one of my kids from Bagram, and I'll be looking around going, yeah, that's still there.
Right. Is the green bean still there?
You know, do they still got Tuna Bridge there?
Right.
You know, have they done anything with a poo pond yet?
Right. So, so Idaho it's what they consider a red state, right?
Yes.
But how long has it been under Republican control? I mean, is it?
It's been under Republican control since Cecil Andrus, so 80s, roundabout.
Right.
You know, and even at that, you know, it was Cecil Andrus was a Democrat governor. But one of the things we look at, and this is the confusing thing about the politics here in the state of Idaho. You know, we have an awful lot of Californians that move in, a lot of out of state that immigrate to Idaho because they see something they want. You know, and they're coming in out of the I-5 corridor, which is, you know, West Coast, and they get to Idaho, and, you know, they come in thinking they're Republicans. And then they get to Idaho and go, I'm really more of an Idaho Democrat.
Is it because of the, how do I say, is it because what's considered, I don't know, what's considered Republican in one state's considered a different Republican, or not a Republican in another state? Did they have that mentality, like it was kind of like culture shock for them?
Well, it is. It's very much culture shock. You know, they get here and they go, well, I came here because of lower taxes, but some of this stuff just doesn't feel quite right, you know, because they're trying to bring different mores with them from California, different freedoms of expression, and they get in here and they realize, wait, what do you mean you can fire me for being gay here?
Yeah. Now, is it because is it like a heavy religious? I mean, because I spent some time in Idaho, out in Boise, doing some training back in the day, and I kind of, I don't know, I liked it. I mean, it was I don't know, it just felt nice. I don't know, the people were nice. The training area was cold as hell. I remember because it was January February timeframe. We're doing some training out there, and it just really, I don't know. It just really felt. I don't know. It felt like I could live. Like if there was an opportunity to move to Idaho or Boise, I'd be like, I'd move there. You know what I mean? So, is it that no? I don't know. How do I say this? Is it that Idaho's not familiar with I don't know, outsiders or something, or what was their?
Well, I mean, enough of us leave and enough of us come back.
Right.
Idaho's one of those top states as far as veterans go, per capita number of veterans, that go, join, and come back. So we got an awful lot of experience as far as knowing what the rest of the world is like, and we also have a strong LDS presence. So we have a lot of the kids that went on missions. They've been to other parts of the world, and they've come back, and they've tried. Some of them bring some of that culture back with them after 2 years of immersion.
Got it.
Some don't.
So if anything else, due to their LDS experience, they're coming back with actually more worldly experience then, as opposed to
absolutely.
sort of a closed in.
Now they still have that culture that wearing the religious values.
Right.
So the niceness, the pleasantness, the civility that you see around here, a lot of it is that religious background, is that community network building that is just part of the LDS community that makes the area so amazing.
Right.
And then you get immigrant, out of state that come in, they don't understand the LDS experience, and they're trying to integrate.
Right.
And there's the clash of values.
Right. Now, is it because? Is it a closed? Is it just a? Is it a closed-minded on each side? I mean, is it more of a, hey, nobody wants to listen because you're an outsider, or hey, we want you to welcome here, but don't change your shit. I mean, what do you think it is?
Most of it's the latter. We're glad you came in. But take a little time to acclimatize before you actually decide that you need to change it.
No, you were talking about the taxes and stuff like that. Is some of the tax reliefs and veterans reliefs a lot better than some of the states surrounding Idaho?
That's an interesting situation because it's really problematic. The taxes in Idaho probably put it in the lower 25% as far as tax rates go.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also one of the slowest growing economies in the United States too. So even though it's a low tax rate, how much of our earnings is still going into, how much do we have left of discretionary spending after everything's done?
Right.
So like right now, one of the problems we got here in Boise is housing costs are going through the roof. The housing market, people are moving in. We can't build houses fast enough. We can't build apartments fast enough. We don't have room. And we also have one of the lowest incomes in the United States too. So we are literally pushing all of our service workers out of homes.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we got low taxes, but we don't have disposable income to pay the taxes with.
Right. Holy shit. I didn't realize it was like that. Damn, dude. I mean, tracking on some of the Idaho stuff only because I watch some of the markets and all that because I invest and all that. And I just know that it's, I mean, you guys are down to 7 tax brackets, and it's generally, it's a maximum, maximum income tax, marginal income tax is like 6 point something or something like that.
It's something ridiculous. Your first $20,000, no taxes on it.
Yeah.
Sales tax, you get your first $800 of food.
Right.
Sales tax refunded to you at the end of the year per family member. So they got a couple of things. But as far as actual income to tax ratio, it gets really weird, really wonky. And our tax organization here in the state went and did an evaluation at one point to try and figure out, just which income bracket pays the largest percentage of taxes in the state of Idaho. And it ended up coming out regressive.
Oh, wow.
Because the combination of sales tax and the property tax and, the other fees associated with vehicles and everything. And then finally the income tax came in at the last part. it was one of those where if you were making under 40,000, you were paying close to about 9% in taxes. Where if you were making over 100,000, you know, roughly 8% of your income, you know, a whole 1%, you know, I mean, 1%, it doesn't seem like a lot, but you still see it as a regressive tax rate. You know, the rich people are paying a lower percentage of their taxes than the poor people.
District 1 has the majority of them too, out of Boise, though, right? Isn't that that's the district you're running for, correct?
I'm running for Congressional District 1, yeah,
Okay.
but that's actually West Treasure Valley.
Okay.
So I don't get much of Boise in my district. Most of my district is Meridian, Canyon County, up north into Kootenai County.
Gotcha.
You know, I got an awful lot of suburbs. I don't have a lot of city dwellers. I don't have a lot of urban environment, you know, residents. So I can't actually count on downtown Boise as my constituency. It's the suburbs,
Right.
west.
Now, is the concern mostly that? Is it a lot of it taxes, a lot of it's job? What's mostly what are you hearing from the citizenry over there? What are they saying?
A lot of it depends on where they're living. I mean, honestly, because we do have an awful lot of urban areas where cost of living is still relatively low. We are experiencing an extremely high suicide rate for the area, though, in
Really?
our rural areas.
Wow.
You know, the kids are growing up and they're realizing they're just not going to be able to keep the family farm, you know, or they're not able to live up to the stressors related to what's going on with the economy and what's going on with their family. So Idaho actually has a pretty high suicide rate right now. And that's before we start getting into issues of all the vets that are coming back with, you know, the PTSD
Right.
and trying to get them counseling and therapy into the entire process. And, you know, I know you're talking earlier about medical marijuana and a lot of the advantages that has. And Idaho is one of those states that right now, you know, our VA can't even issue scripts for medical marijuana or allow them to be given to any of the vets because it's still considered illegal in the state of Idaho.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to ask you, the platform that you're running on is okay. Well, let's just go with that one first. Medicinal marijuana. Is it the LDS, the heavy LDS influence? Is it the, you know, you smoke weed and it's a gateway drug and you know, whatever? What's the block? Who's stopping it? What's
Honestly, the block right now is the police unions.
Really? Wow, okay.
Yeah, the police unions. We have a lawyer who's in Nampa who sits on our judiciary Senate chair, and every time something hits his desk with regards to marijuana legalization, criminal justice reform, it goes into a bottom drawer and disappears for the rest of the session. The reason why is because he continues to make money off of our broken justice system. You know, he continues to extract money from people looking for defenses for, you know, getting arrested with marijuana. You know, so we're having a real problem with justice reform. And it's less an issue with the religion and even the people, because right now medical marijuana has about 76% approval in the state. I mean, the state agrees to medical marijuana. We just have a few legislators that continue to make money off of
the
continued legalization.
Right, I was about to say, to the continued unnecessary enforcement too, because like you were saying, does the police unions, when they hear about this ticket coming up, and do they allow? Because I noticed that's one thing I saw. I saw several videos. I don't remember what it was from, but it was just something I was kind of skirting for research. There's been videos when somebody tries to bring something to a point of order or tries to bring it to the floor, they get cut off.
Yeah,
they won't. They're not even okay. Thank you very much, and the gavel hits, and they won't even allow them to talk. Who are some of these idiots that are doing that? You know, it would just. I was kind of like, God, that's kind of freaking rude. Somebody wants to talk about some of the effects of medicinal marijuana, the discussion of the opioid crisis, and discussion of the of some of the criminal reform. They're trying to make it sound like that if you promote it, then you're promoting everyone being high, and you're promoting everybody just getting out of jail, and I don't understand why that's not getting through their heads.
And a lot of that has to do with who decides to run for office. You know, and you get into that situation with libertarians an awful lot. Is like, I don't want to run for, I don't want to make laws. I don't want to change anything. You know, the people who run are the people who want to make laws, who want to make things illegal, who want to, you know, legislate morality. You know, they're the authoritarians, and it's like, you almost have, as a libertarian, you have to run just out as a defense mechanism.
Right.
You know,
right.
I need to run so that you can't make more stupid laws.
I need to. You're basically, you want to run so that way their stupid laws are being highlighted, even if you don't win.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I want to win.
Right. Of course.
You know,
are you? I just think it's insane because I think everybody right now is and as like Mom said earlier, we're pretty fed up with what's going on for the last 40 to 50 years of what Congress has been saying, and now we're starting to see even more through the state legislators. They're the same way, and they've been in office for so freaking long, and everyone's like, oh, we're gonna make a difference. Oh, we're gonna make a difference, and it's always back and forth with each party. But as soon as you mention, hey, we're gonna legalize, we want to legalize weed. Oh my God, you know.
And that's exactly it.
Yeah. Who's your who are you running? Who are you running against? You could say it too if you want. I mean.
Okay, so the incumbent in my case happens to be Russ Fulcher.
Okay.
So Russ Fulcher's a Republican. He's been sitting in there for a year and a half now. And he's one of those things that's ironic because he ran on a liberty-based platform.
He did.
Yeah. He continues to consistently vote to imbue the office of the president with more and more power. Yeah, so he made a couple votes with regards to the NDAA, some other issues with renewals, things like the Patriot Act, you know, where he was going, you know, if I were president, I would want to be able to have more control over this than I do.
Right.
It's it's like, wait, Russ, we have a separation of power for a reason.
Right.
Why are you trying to do away with your job as a representative?
Right.
So that you can become president one day, you know.
Yeah,
I
was just
of this consolidated power.
I was just about ready to ask you about that too. Shouldn't he like be running, or shouldn't he be doing stuff, I don't know, in Congress as opposed to running for president? Isn't that what he got elected for, to be a congressman, not to run for? It's not supposed to be a freaking stepping stool, you know what I mean?
Right. It's not. You know, you get elected to the office, and if you do a good job at that office, then maybe you can be considered for promotion.
Right, exactly.
But if you show up at your office and your first response is to pass the buck.
Yeah.
It's like, slow down, dude.
Yeah.
You know, you couldn't do the job we sent you to do the first time.
Right.
What makes you think we would trust you with anything that you just imbued with more power because you were too lazy to do it?
Right. And like you were saying, passing the buck, or passing the guise of being a conservative. He's running on I'm going to defend the Constitution stuff. So he's pro-gun, and he's pro-life, and he's pro-Constitution. Isn't that what you are too? Aren't you?
Well, okay. So here's one of the interesting things about the Libertarian platform. Because I'm not pro-life, I'm government non-interference.
Got it.
Okay, reason why is because the government should not be involved in that any way, shape, or form. That's personal choice, you know. So we shouldn't be advocating for it. We shouldn't be making decisions based on it, you know. And it goes the other way too. So one of the other things that the Libertarian platform is you know, defunding all of those nonprofits that currently the United States government is funding.
Mm-hmm.
One of those happens to be Planned Parenthood. So like Joe Jorgensen, one of her things is, you know, government non-interference, and that means we don't support Planned Parenthood from, you know, the offices of Congress or the executive branch. You know, but the nice thing about that is we go in and we cut all the taxes. You know, we allow people to keep more of their money It's like right now, we got like 25% of every paycheck that heads straight into Washington, D.C., and they turn around and divvy it up. But we can create a situation where, maybe we only need 12 cents out of every dollar you earn for a little while.
Right.
In order to get things caught up, if we can trim enough of this fat. So, hey, if you're pro-life, you can support those pro-life organizations with that extra money that's in your pocket. If you're pro-choice, you can take that extra money in your pocket and, donate to organizations like Planned Parenthood and other places like that. But that's the thing, is it gives the choice back to the people how their money gets spent with regards to nonprofit organizations. And it takes government out of the equation altogether.
Also, the government protection. Is that why Planned Parenthood is not really game to the libertarian ticket? Is because they're afraid of losing that shield?
Yeah. It's really what it's about. They continue to lobby. They continue to receive funds. It was one of those things. Barack Obama made the statement, no Republican president is going to support Planned Parenthood to the same degree that I have.
Right.
And then Trump comes along and says, hold my beer.
Do you think though, does he give a, does Russ really care? When you think about it, let's get to the crutch. What would be the considered, the pro-life reason why someone would get in a situation to want to have that choice. Does he even realize that? What's the teen pregnancy rate in Idaho? What's the, what's the criminal? What's the sexual assault crime statistics in Idaho and his area? You know what I mean? There's a lot of things to consider before you could just flat say no.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So the irony is like I came back to Boise about 1995. No, it was later than that. It was about 2002, 2003. And we actually had a town, Emmett, Idaho, that had the highest per capita teen pregnancy rate in the industrialized world. Now admittedly, Emmett, it's small. There's really only two things to do for young kids in there is, get illegal booze to drink and, the other thing that makes babies.
But right, of course, yeah, shit happens.
Yeah.
Netflix and chill.
It's a religious town, so you don't have, abstinence is what they teach in schools.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about to say right. Well, my thing is that it's almost like they're perpetuating the circle, because then when it comes to the sexual assault statistics, like rape, child exploitation,
right.
that goes into a. What about that? Has he even addressed a situation like that? Is it? Because
okay, and I'm going to get dark here for a moment.
Do it. Go for it, man.
The reason why is because Idaho has a problem with child exploitation and child trafficking right now. It always has. Matter of fact, we only have a law that's been in effect for the last 2 months that has raised the minimum marriage age from no minimum marriage age up to 16. And we also changed the rules so that an individual cannot marry their way out of a statutory rape charge.
Okay.
So we literally had an environment where men could come in, marry young women as young as 14 if they can find a judge, 13 even, if they can find a judge that's willing to make that call.
Mm-hmm.
Because the idea was, you need a judge to sign off on it if she's under the age of 16.
Right.
And we actually, in the last 10 years, probably had about 3 or 4 marriages with girls as young as 14.
And that is like why. You're literally walking in exactly to my whole point. But go ahead, continue. This is awesome. I love this because we're totally supportive against. We're totally supportive on the fight against child exploitation. Man,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Now, the next thing that you're looking at is we also have 5 Indian reservations here in the state of Idaho. as well as the adjacent ones in the state of Montana, Washington, Oregon, Nevada. Okay, we are still dealing with the murdered and missing indigenous women's movement here, because Idaho is one of those states. We do not record crimes that occur on the reservation as related to Idaho-based crimes. So the number of women and children that disappear off of those for sexual exploitation, sex trafficking, continues to go undocumented. Despite having one of the highest rates of, we talk about 1 in 4 women across the United States having been sexually harassed, sexually exploited before their 21st birthday. The indigenous women here, it's 1 in 3. So we continue to see this problem developing, and it's not being dealt with in an effective way. We recently had one organization step up and just form, I guess it's about 3 years old now. It's the Idaho Anti-Trafficking Coalition, and they've done some really great stuff. They've set up a safe house for survivors who find their way out of the sexploitation industry, and child exploitation as well. And they're one of the first ones to actually take that step to combat child trafficking here in the state. And they've done amazing things. Underground Railroad has also stood up a volunteer center here in the area.
Awesome.
And of course, we got a lot of different motorcycle clubs that are all part of, the Bikers Against Trafficking.
Yep, I'm totally aware about those guys. I'm part of. I mean, we've been talking to some of those individuals anyways for a project that we've been working on, to highlight on the show as well.
There's a lot of cross pollination in those groups where they support each other, and but at the same time, we still have organizations that have supposedly been doing things on this, for 10, 15 years, and they're not showing success rates.
Is it a success rate? I mean, it's obviously an impediment. So when that's brought to light, what does the Idaho legislature, what does the Idaho representatives, what do they say? Do they clutch their pearls and they go, oh, no way, this can't be happening, this must be stopped, and then it just goes away? Or it's kind of like, is it just like fucking, I don't know, just brushed under the carpet?
We got a mix of that. I mean, honestly, a lot of our legislators are very religious. They do come from the LDS background. They do believe that it is not happening here in Idaho until it's put right in their face. So, yeah, we do have a certain amount of that. Now, Idaho Anti-Trafficking Coalition actually did manage to get a grant from the state in order to stand up their safe house. So there is some recognition that it does occur. And after a year ago, when we first tried to pass the minimum age marriage law here in the state, there was a big to-do. It went national about how the Idaho state legislature refused to pass a minimum wage, and that we were just willy-nilly marrying off 14 and 13-year-old girls to any old pervert who, showed up. They caught a lot of flack for that, which is why they managed to get that fixed this year and actually created a minimum age marriage law, the one that just went into effect. So they understand they're under scrutiny for child exploitation, but right now we're also running into the issues of how do you address that when you have conspiracy theories that are throwing off the track of where the real problem is.
Oh my God. Can you give us an example? I mean, I know what you're talking about, but can you give us an example?
Okay, so one of them is the Epstein Island, and the adrenochrome, theories. And you go, okay, well, even if it's true, I admit, you look around the world and you see organ harvesting. So whether you believe in the adrenochrome or not, there's still organ harvesting that's going on for these kids that disappear. But how many of these kids are disappearing through these channels versus how many of these kids are being systemically abused within their own families and within their own communities? Not to that extent.
Right.
We got this idea that there is this massive cult out there, this massive organization that just goes around kidnapping kids all over the place and taking them to this weird island for satanic rituals. When most of the kids, the vast majority of the kids that are being abused, find themselves as children of addicts who are being sold in order to get mom's fix, or there's something else going on in the family dynamic or in the community dynamic where someone's groomed a child that everybody in the family knows. Because we go back to that statistic, 90% of sexual assaults are committed by somebody the victim knew.
Right.
When you're 15, who do you know?
Yeah, I mean, you're only gonna know like cousins, uncles, older brothers, older siblings, parents. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's about it. And maybe some friends from school. You know what I mean? Especially in that area. Maybe from some friends at school.
But that's one of those things. How do you stop that trafficking and that sexploitation from happening when you're so focused on, the Epstein scandal or what's happening with Pizzagate?
Mm-hmm.
You still got kids in the community that are disappearing for stupid, for these reasons. They're being sold out of communities. So if you're focused on what's going on in Hollywood, how are you paying attention to what's happening in your backyard?
In your backyard specifically, I could imagine. He also says he's going to address Medicaid expansion, and I mean, isn't there already state programs already to assist medical in Idaho?
So one of the problems you got, Idaho actually fought the Medicaid expansion. They got our Reclaim Idaho group.
Yes.
Went in and got it passed. But one of the problems that we're having right now is the federal government regulation that's getting in the way of all of that. It's making the cost of Medicare, for all, or the Medicaid for all, or the other expansions or single payer programs, extremely expensive for the government to take responsibility for, simply because of the way we set up the regulations in order to feed money to these pharmacy and healthcare and insurance industry organizations. So from a libertarian perspective, we step back and we go, okay, well, one thing we don't want to do is we don't want the federal government in charge of national health care. So from a congressional perspective, I'd be going in and say, look, I don't want the feds touching this. Reason why is because the blanket policy that comes out of the federal organizations every time fails to address the full breadth of the issue of the local issues.
Right.
Okay, so one of the issues we got here in Idaho, when the INEL, the National Engineering,
You're
we
good.
got a nuclear plant out in Arco.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead. You're good, man.
It's been there like 90 years.
Yeah.
We got a 90-year-old nuclear plant out in Arco. Well, when that thing was first built, we didn't understand the problems with fallout and radiation and disposing of the uranium properly. So we got a lot of it disposed in very bad ways. Half-life is still contaminating half of eastern Idaho. So we have uranium poisoning is part of our medical problems in eastern Idaho.
Holy shit.
So how do you take a federal policy and tailor it to Idaho that says, oh, we got a cancer belt because of improperly disposed uranium?
So it's known. Nobody's denying that, right? Everyone's saying, "Yep, it's an issue. Yep, we were wrong to do it." And then so it's not like it's not like hey, shut up, Joe. Don't we talk about it? It's not like that, is it?
Don't want to talk about it because they don't want to clean it up.
Yeah. Okay.
And to a certain degree, I understand that. But the thing is we still got the problem. We still have the cancer belt. So how do we, if we're not going to clean it up, how are we going to address the health issues that we get from not cleaning it up?
Right.
Okay, you're not going to get one policy fits all out of Washington, D.C. that's going to be able to address those issues, because you got to treat it differently than the issues, where you're getting black lung in Pennsylvania because you've worked in the coal mines, or other issues that you get from living down south. So we need to take the health care away from the feds, and we need to give it back to the states so the states can address their specific issues. And that means giving the money back to the states in the form of not taking their taxes, so that the states can decide whether or not they want to handle it through privatization, whether they want to handle it through a state-based Medicare, single payer, or, Idaho's one of those weird states. We actually have a single provider situation. We have a near total monopoly on medical care in the state through one organization. And all of our health insurance providers have to work with them because they're literally the biggest healthcare provider in the state.
Wow. Has anybody tried to come in there to kind of set up shop and they get chased away, or what's been the...
Well, there's a few.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like the big ones going, okay, this isn't quite as profitable in the way we do business as we would like it to be. So here, you can have this little piece.
God.
So they're allowing something, but it's like they're piecemealing it. It's like, okay.
It's a freaking headache the way you're explaining it, though. You know what I mean? The way they're doing it, I should say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a freaking...
So, I had kidney cancer. I went in, I had a radical nephrectomy, had a kidney that was entirely removed. And after that, I was sent off to a kidney doctor. Now, I was using this major provider for all of this. About 2 years, 6 months after I started seeing the kidney doctor, he moves over to practice with this other organization. And it's like the entire nephrology department just picked up and moved over to this other organization. It's like they just divested themselves of it and said, no, we're not going to deal with kidneys anymore. Salzer Medical Group, you got it. So we got some interesting things going on with our medical providers here in the state. But yeah.
Obviously, is there a vibrant, or should I say vibrant? Is the VA worth the shit out there? Did they help at all? I mean, what was the...
Actually one of the best.
Really?
As long as you're a man.
Wait, what? Say that again now? As long as
here in Idaho actually is one of the best. It's like a 4-star, 5-star rating. Has been recognized as one of the best regional VA centers in the United States.
But as long as you're a man?
Yes.
Wow.
The reason why is because they don't have adequate staff in order to keep escorts for the female veterans, on appointments. So it's like the women just keep, we don't have an escort for you today, so we're going to have to reschedule.
Jesus, isn't that not a congressional issue in that state for somebody who's running for Congress? Isn't that what this dude's...
It is.
I mean,
it is very much so.
So what is it? What has Fulcher said about this? Has he said anything about it?
I seriously doubt he said anything about it.
Right.
Because he bailed on the one interview where he would have been asked that question and had to respond to it.
Oh, Jesus. Well, has he served in the military to know? I mean, has he?
No, he hasn't.
Oh, okay.
Now my other opponent, Rudy Soto, he's a Democrat. He's done 8 years National Guard. 4 years with a field artillery unit while he was going to college in Portland University in Oregon, and another 4 years while he was with an MP unit in Washington, D.C. while he was working there.
Okay.
So he's got some experience, and his cousin. This is the irony of just how small this is. I've actually become fairly good friends with his cousin, who's a Marine. So it's interesting listening to her give, both of us grief over issues,
right,
with regards to military sexual trauma, with regards to the way the VA treats the women, the way they're represented in choice, and it's
so you and him basically are basically hitting all the right bases when it comes to that. It's just, but you guys are the only ones that's doing it, not Russ.
Right.
God, man. Oh, that's frustrating, dude. I'm getting frustrated already. And that makes me want to go back. I don't want to be considered a transplant or something like that. I want to piss everybody off. It's like, where are you from? I'm from, wherever. So let's talk about term limits. What's your take on term limits?
We need to do it. Reason why is because nobody should be making Congress a career. Nobody should be making the Senate a career. Nobody should be making politics a career. If you can't go in, fix what you need to fix, and be able to get back out into the industry that you left,
right?
Work under the rules you just made. You shouldn't be seeking political office, and that's not what our founding fathers believed in. Most of them were gentlemen farmers. They were workers. You got Benjamin Franklin ran his news service. You need to be able to go back and go to work under the rules you create.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't do that, you shouldn't be passing those laws, that legislation. So term limits are an absolute necessity. As to exactly what they need to be, that's always a tough one. Are we going to limit somebody to 12 years? You got 12 years in public office. Pick your office that you're going to spend 12 years in. Do you spend 2 terms in the Senate? Do you spend 6 terms in Congress? Do you mix it up with some state legislator positions? Maybe if you're willing to do some at the state and some at the Fed, maybe we'll give you 15 so you can sort of get used to the different level, But it's like, who needs to be spending 40 years in politics?
Did they?
What do you provide?
I was about to say, don't they? Isn't it part of the whole? Think about it. How the Constitution was written up. It's not a multi-bureaucratic document to begin with. It's thou shalls and this shalls and will nots and are thrown in the mix, and then that's how you legislate the country. Well, the same thing goes for your own state constitutions that should have been written the same freaking way. So why does it take 12 years, like you were saying? Why does it take almost 20 years to pass a bill, and then you don't, and then it never passes? You don't do shit. Has Russ gone? Has he been prominent in some of this? Has he been up there talking about, hey, this is what because it wasn't until I was researching, I didn't really see him in the spotlight at all.
Well, he hasn't. Most of his issues are specifically local issues. He gets a write-up every time he votes against the other 3 individuals who are part of our Washington delegation.
Right.
The Washington delegation are all Republicans, so they all should be voting consistently. So if one of them's voting for something, all 4 of them should be voting for something. So the only time Russ really shows up in the news is when he decides to buck the system. And you end up with 3 of our Washington delegations saying, yeah, this is a good bill. He goes, nope, it doesn't go far enough. I'm not going to vote for it. And he gets a write-up. It gets a little editorial, a little comment, about why he did what he did. So but that's about the only news he really gets.
I was about to say, other than that, he's not been very, I don't know, has not had any enthusiasm or not any. We don't get any charging stories from him. You know what I mean?
Well, to be fair, at least he's not getting caught in an airport stall with a wide stance.
Oh, yeah. So, go ahead.
Yeah, that one's a bit of a historical.
I don't think anybody. I got it, but what is it? No? I don't think anybody else in the audience. Because go ahead. What's the historical story behind that comment?
So one of our legislators, not that long ago, ran on a family value, like all Republicans do.
Right.
Anyway,
because
he was on his way back to Idaho, come back to meet, and he ended up with a stop in an airport. And while in the airport, he was approached by an undercover police officer and propositioned, in which he basically returned, did the quid pro quo and mentioned that he prefers a wide stance. And so that was the homosexual embarrassment of the family values Republican in the state of Idaho.
But what is he? Here's another question too: are there male police officers just walking up to dudes to kind of bust them for some of that stuff? You know what I mean? What was the? Cause look at this. Look, I mean, just when you think about it.
I know what goes on in Virginia.
Well, I'm talking. What I'm talking about. I'm talking about the. There was a joke about it in South Park. How this one cop was an undercover cop, and all he was doing was propositioning dudes as a prostitute, and he was not telling them until the deed was done. So that was just kind of funny. That is there cops running around? I just think it's funny that first off, there's a police officer looking to go at another dude and proposition, and then the legislature goes, "Yeah, I want a wide stance," and everyone goes, what? And then because nobody expects that to happen, nobody.
No, don't. Honestly, we don't. You got arrested for what?
Yeah, exactly. Wait a minute, aren't you like running for office or something like that on a Republican ticket? I'm sorry, I got my Rona lungs. So what do you think about this whole U.S. Postal Service drama?
I'm going to go back to the issue in 2007 with regards to that. Reason why is because I think it's all manufactured drama. They were having problems funding the Iraq War and the Afghanistan War simultaneously during that time. And guess where they managed to find, another, what was it, $75 billion?
Yeah, for the surge.
Yeah. And that's where they came up with $75 billion from the surge from.
Yeah.
They built the U.S. Postal Service.
So you're saying it's a manufactured crisis on both sides, or is it it's just because they both messed up and they're both kind of like hyping it, or is it one specific party saying
This is a mess that goes clear back to who was it, Boehner? No,
Correct.
Not Boehner. The other one. Yeah, the other Republican leader that skipped town not that long ago. But they needed money to continue paying the bills for the war because they refused to do the war tax and pay as we went.
Mm-hmm.
So they needed extra money. They'd already gotten the floater loan that allowed them to print money to pay for the war for up to 10 years before the bill came due.
Right.
But they're still running a little short on funds. So they co-opted and said, you know what? Who's got a little extra money that we can extort right now? Oh, the United States Postal Service. Let's find a way to, get a couple billion out of them. So
that was
untenable.
Right. That was Dennis Hastert and Nancy Pelosi, because there was an overlap between the two.
Oh yeah.
And so there was a little bit of overlap between 2005 and 2009. So between the two already. So those are the two Speaker of the Houses.
If we actually went back and repealed that regulation that forced them to stick $75 billion into a retirement fund, fully funded retirement fund for 50 years, something which is an unheard of. There's no industry, no company that requires that in any way, shape, or form in the United States. If we went back and repealed that, the United States Postal Service would be solvent.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then of course they continue to manufacture and say, well, you need to keep paying the bills, but we're not going to let you increase the rates for services. It's like, well, how do we pay the bills if we don't charge more for our services?
Right.
So Congress has gone out of their way a lot in order to hamper the United States Postal Service's ability to perform its functions, which of course is advantageous to other organizations like FedEx and UPS.
Did they have? So I guess part of the question was also the whole mail-in ballots, the whole absentee ballots, the whole
The absentee ballots.
The only way to get an absentee ballot is by the mail, but we want to fight against mail-in voting. Do you think both parties are just getting stupid about? I mean, well, obviously they are, but what's your take on that?
I honestly think like you said, both parties are just getting stupid about it. We've been going on with the COVID crisis. They've given us bad information one day, reversed it the next day. I mean, the United States government, CDC, World Health Organization have all reversed their positions no less than a dozen times in the last 9 months. And when you're going, well, which rules am I following today? What actually works? Well,
right.
Nobody knows because they can't keep track of their latest lie.
Right.
Now, if you're in the healthcare industry, or even if you're in the esthetician industry, dealing with aesthetics, face, eyebrow, hair cutting, you all go through these different processes that teach you how to be clean, how to be prepared, how to deal with things. All of these people have been certified through different organizations in order to not spread germs while working in very close proximity with people's hands, feet, face. Yet we get these messages from CDC and from the government that are directly at odds with these guidelines that have been taught to these healthcare and aesthetic providers, for the last 30 years. And it's like, a lot of them are looking at it going, why are you telling me to do something I know isn't going to work? So we got a whole lot of confusion right now about what would work, what wouldn't work. And now they're able to take all of that and put it back on. Well, how are we going to conduct decent voting? How are we going to get people out to, the polls while we got this big COVID scare going on? Is there a way that we can do it? Is there some other way we can do it?
Yeah, because that's the thing too. Because are they not? I mean, the olds are getting freaked out too about the COVID, and that you have to have social distancing. You cannot. What's the state sentiment? What are you seeing there in Idaho? What do they feel about it? Everyone's going to go vote, right? No one gives a shit, or everyone's going to say yeah.
Everybody go vote. Nobody gives a shit.
Right.
I mean, really, they're trying to do it. We just had a special legislative session that started today to discuss options as far as how to handle the election in November.
Right.
And it turned into a total mess. One of our local activists, Ammon Bundy, him and about 100 of his followers, all stormed this legislative session. They broke a door, in order to gain access to the gallery so they could watch the proceedings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And, of course, all of them are against any of these options that are coming up. They've been against the mask mandates. They've been against, the mail-in voting. They all want to vote in person. And, they're against the governor's declaration of a state of emergency, that he originally initiated. Which is one of those things, it's really sort of ironic when you continue to go around doing everything that you've ever done before, and somebody saying, we're under martial law. No.
No, the about to say that nobody got any Trump bucks, right? Out of all this then, out of Idaho. Nobody got any...
No, Idaho got the Trump bucks.
Uh-huh.
Actually, we did fairly good as far as the Trump bucks go. We got our $1,200.
Yeah.
We got our $600 a week bonus, which for Idaho was friggin' incredible for a lot of people who are unemployed.
Right.
We get an extra, $600 a week, which is $15 an hour, above and beyond anything else that they were getting for, and in a state with a minimum wage of $7.25. And a mean wage of about 11 for a lot of those service workers who were put out of work. It's like, dude, 16 weeks and making $15 an hour to sit on my butt?
I was about to say, dude, you're kind of like just hanging out and And then you get another stipend. You get more money. You get afterwards. I mean, has the state had any, aside from federal assistance when it came to COVID, has the state pushed out any specific guidance for schools when it comes to virtual learning? Any additional stuff for the pay?
Is the virtual learning scenario.
Uh-huh.
How are we going to get the kids into school? What's the arrangement? And one of the beautiful things is Idaho's always been very pro homeschool as far as the regulations go.
Okay.
We've got some people who fight it, who say, that's not good. But this is one of those scenarios where an awful lot of people who used to be very strong advocates for a mandatory public school are stepping back and going, I think I'm going to homeschool my kids this year. And they're very glad that the regulations around homeschooling are as lax as they are. Otherwise, because if they had to jump through the hoops like they did in California.
Right. Oh my God, it's insane.
Right.
It's insane for all the other states. Yeah, it's been nuts. They're going, and then also having some problems with tech. They're having expectations that these kids should be logging in, checking emails, and doing their Outlook calendars. And they're not even 8 years old. They're not even ready to do email on their own to begin with. Sometimes their parents either. So it's been kind of it's been kind of tame then when it comes to that, when it comes through that type of, I don't want to say lax legislation. You could say it's lax legislative. With the teacher union, there's no teachers union in Idaho, is there?
Well, there is.
Oh, there is. Okay.
We have two strong public unions. One is the police union. One is the teachers union.
Right.
We have our AFL-CIO, but it's not a real strong, particularly because it gets its power from national, and Idaho's a right-to-work state.
Okay.
Now, we are seeing a certain resurgence in a number of the locals. I take back firemen. We got firemen too, so 3 public unions. But our locals, our local electrical workers are starting to make a comeback. Of course, that helps when, you've gone 20 years and the only people left who know how to do electrical work are all 50 years old, 60 years old, and getting ready to retire.
Right.
It's like, where are electricians? Well, you went to right to work and nobody wanted the job for 20 years.
Right. Can you explain to the audience what does right to work mean? What right to work thing?
Right to work basically means right to fire at will. It puts an awful lot of power in the hands of the employer. So that if an employer comes in and an employee says, I'm a union worker, the employer can go, yep, well, you're not working for us then. It's also one of those situations where if they do hire a union worker and then the union comes in and says, you're not paying my guy enough, the union has to negotiate with the employer for everybody in the company, not just their one guy, for a wage increase. So there's that whole stolen labor of the Congress. The union's here to negotiate for a union worker.
Right.
Only everybody gets the benefit from the one guy paying dues. Yeah. So unions haven't been real popular here for about 30 years.
God, man, it's insane.
Some of them are finding their way back.
Right. Yeah. Now, what about the with the discovery of some people are having some discussions in the chats that because of we're going to go back to homeschooling, because now everyone's seeing that it's a good thing for homeschooling. Are they going to pay some teacher? Are they going to pay are they going to have a stipend for in other words, are the teachers going, hey, wait a minute, you can't have, I need my students, otherwise I don't have a job if I don't have any students to teach. Is there some sort of, hey, there's going to be one method of teaching for one class? Is it still going to be the same class breakdown for Idaho when it comes to students? Because they're starting to realize that their internet sucks. Their infrastructure sucks for internet.
No, it's not. We have literally turned it over to each school district to figure it out for themselves.
Awesome. That's awesome. See, that right there that is so much better than having state controlled or have it. That's awesome.
So we got one school district in central Idaho up in the mountains that has all of 6 students. Their teachers actually subsidized through federal nonprofit organization for, that type of community work.
Right.
So, and they get to do classes their way. We got some 25,000 students here in the Boise Independent School District, where our high schools have, somewhere in the neighborhood about 800, 900 student, upwards of 1,200 for some of them.
Right.
Roaming the halls, and they got their way of doing it. And it's like each school district has literally been told, figure it out, man. You got the tech, so in Boise here, Independent School District in Boise, it's fairly upscale. So a lot of the kids are already familiar with the tech. So it's not a huge stretch for them to do a split schedule, do some at home,
right?
Show up for a half class one day,
right?
And you got a couple other districts like that, and then you got other districts like out in Marsing with about all of 400 students all together for the district, who are going, okay, well, how are we going to do this? We still have a statewide teachers union. Teachers aren't real comfortable with doing the homeschool, but I mean, it's a complete mess. But Idaho is one of those states where public schooling is built into our Constitution. So like the United States has a constitutional obligation to provide the United States Postal Service. The state of Idaho has a constitutional obligation to provide, not enforce or mandate, but to provide public schooling for all school-age children. So how do you start managing that?
Right, I was about to say.
We've been having a huge fight over funding for the different districts, how to create the schedule, how to do the funding sheet. Are we counting how many days in attendance? What's 90% of attendance? What's your maximum? So we've been fighting over the funding for the schools for 20 years. Well, actually longer than that, 30 years. The formulas and whether or not we're actually paying enough to keep the schools running. Now we got this situation where people are going, I want my money back because I'm homeschooling.
Right. I was about to say, because that I think the president even said that too. That if you're going to be homeschooling your children, then you should be getting the money that is supposed to be going to schools.
That's another situation where it goes back to, okay, Department of Education. What good has the Department of Education done for the United States in it was 1976 when it was founded.
Yeah.
So last 44 years. What good has it done? Ever since it was created, performance in American schools has continued to deteriorate.
Yep.
To the point where right now, in order to go to college, colleges have remedial classes just to teach basic math so they can take their first Math 101 class. It's like, what's wrong with our education system that we can't at least get them to be ready for college upon graduation?
Right. Now, what I was about to say, what's the statistics for high school dropout? I mean, is it pretty high? Is it significant in Idaho?
Not really. I think we're doing pretty good as far as high school dropout, despite the fact that we have the lowest per student spending rate in the United States. So
that's not bad, I guess. I mean, it's not a...
It's one of those, we still have the strong religious values. We still have a strong focus on the nuclear family.
Right.
We still have strong focus on completing school, whether you're in public school or whether you're doing the homeschool, So there's dropouts really isn't a huge problem in the state of Idaho.
Okay. Second Amendment. But what's the Second Amendment feel? What's the Second Amendment grade over in Idaho? Is it pretty supportive? Is it real restrictive? What's the?
It's hella supportive. We are probably the most supportive as far as constitutional carry, open carry. We got a few restrictions right now, and of course those are federal restrictions, like you can't carry a gun on school property, some things like that.
Okay, understandable.
Idaho makes some exceptions if you go through some extra training. Particularly if you're carrying in university or another situation where Title IX, has some influence over spending.
Right.
Much like Utah does.
Okay.
So you can get your enhanced carry permit, but for the most part, if you're over 21, concealed carry anywhere you want. Over 18, open carry anywhere you want.
Wow.
All without permits. The only thing we're really missing right now is getting rid of the ATF so we can have handlebar-mounted rocket-propelled grenade launchers.
I was looking at an M134 for my Harley because I want a minigun coming out of my saddlebags. You know what I mean? So with that, then nobody's really. So even your Democratic opponent, they're not really saying anything about they've not really talked about the gun issue. They're not really talked about stuff like that.
Well, and here's the problem with the Democrats, particularly Idaho Democrats. Idaho Democrats aren't after your guns.
Right.
They aren't.
They're legit. They are actually legit, not after your guns.
The Idaho Democrats are legit, not after your guns.
Okay.
Most of them have guns of their own. They have concealed carry. Some of them even do open carry. Especially if you're in legislation or in the legislature, because every one of the Republican legislators open carries, in session.
Really? That's what I'm talking about.
Enough of them do.
Right.
So that, all of the AR-15s up in the gallery really don't bother them.
Huh. Okay. All right. That's interesting because there's been people, and that's a good question too. There's been talks about militia groups and extremist ideologies going up into the in that area, and they just
yes.
Is it? I mean, is it? Now here's the thing, because we've had members of the Boogaloo movement on air, and is it a misunderstanding for real that they're just? I mean, if they're seeing a bunch of people constitutionally carrying their weapons in the open, and it's in the open, immediately people think, oh no, that bad man with gun or whatever. Is it blown out of proportion? Because it's almost like when you see a lot of things, just because you like a product or you wear a specific Hawaiian t-shirt of your flavor, immediately you're considered part of the militia. Immediately you're part of the boog. Immediately you don't. It's almost like they've taken the meme and they've taken it so serious now that it's almost like you've ruined a fucking funny joke.
Right. At which point did the big luau at Aloha Snack Bar?
Yeah, exactly. The big luau at Aloha Snack Bar. Make sure you wear a size, whatever color you prefer. Today we're wearing red. Today we're wearing blue.
Wait. No, that was a joke, man.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a joke from TDY to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Wait, what happened?
Exactly. Don't laugh at my pineapple. They're saying now that there's Republican leaders that are involved with that movement. Is that rumor? Is that straight? Is it a true connection?
Straight up true. It's straight up true.
Okay.
We have some hardcore religious right leaders that are very much involved in it's a really interesting dynamic, because you have evangelical Christians who are hard right, who claim to be liberty movement organizations, but they're hardcore for moral legislation. So it's like, you can have all the liberty you want, as long as you do it my way. And it's sort of like, wait, slow down here. I didn't agree to no pork on Sundays.
Right.
I mean,
it's religious then. Wow, that's fascinating. I did not know that.
So you have a real strong evangelical religious base. And they've been doing a lot of recruiting as far as, and here's one of the things, it's interesting because I don't think the problem with them is white supremacy as much as it is Christian supremacy.
Wow. Okay, I've never heard that one before, but that's a new one. No, go continue.
Yeah, but step back and think about it,
Right.
It's like, now there's a certain amount of racism that comes in with a number of those organizations, because we had a very strong religious individual trying to run for office up in northern Idaho. Yet, because he was black, of course, he didn't win.
Right.
Yeah, he's still said all the right things, still strong Christian evangelical, said all the right things, but it's like, dude, you're black. No, not going to work. And he actually caught a lot of flack while he was running. So there is a strong racial overtones into what's going on in northern Idaho, and a lot of that is because we get I-5 corridor. And this goes back to the extremists coming from the I-5 corridor, not necessarily our California Republicans, but our actual California extremists that move in and they go, this is the perfect place to set up for the end of the world.
Right.
And you have this strong end of days cult feeling to what's going on in northern Idaho, like they're waiting for the end of the world. And when that happens, God's going to come forth and bless them all.
So these are So these are the straight. They're like I don't want to say Branch Davidian like, but I want to say they're overzealous evangelical Christian, super extreme. You know what I mean? They have.
Well, there's actually a name for the movement. It's called the Readout.
The Readout. Okay.
Readout. REDOUBT.
Mm-hmm. This is like it's like a video game. Exactly that. But someone just like a Far Cry scenario.
Yeah, but it's an end of day scenario, and the Readout is like the Bastion. It's that encampment where you set in to defend, the last vestige of Christianity against the hordes of leftists.
God, is it now? Has anybody? I don't know. Like, hey, dude, you need to kind of chill out. Once those ties were established, and they were like, hey, look, dude, you need to.
We got some people that are working on it because some of them have come into certain areas and they come on heavy, and the locals look at them and go, "You're weird, dude. Just go do your thing over there."
Right.
But it's reached a point where those weird dudes have actually shown up in big enough numbers now to where they dominate certain areas of the landscape here in the state.
Okay.
Yeah, so we just had a big problem up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho here recently. One of our one of our activists for Reclaim Idaho, who was doing the Medicaid expansion, felt that she was under threat because of the militias up north, to the point where she actually had to move and relocate.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and so we have a certain amount of that problem up there. To what degree it is, because it's like,
was she
five or six people can wreck, a perception real quick.
Oh, I understand that. Was she getting like threatened? Were they messing with her? Were they?
Oh yeah.
Really? Okay.
We got an indigenous, mixed heritage activist here in Boise, that have been doing a lot of activism on the murdered and missing indigenous women front.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I interact with her, there's stories about, the dead cats that show up on her doorstep.
Jesus.
And it's like, so we have people here in the valley that are willing to take it at least that far.
Right. Nobody's been actually like hurt or killed or something like that.
To the best of my knowledge, no.
I hear you. I just wanted.
Okay, so the interesting thing is, here about 2 months ago, there was a Black Lives Matter rally here in Boise,
mm-hmm.
and this one particular activist that I was just talking about, was doing some presentation, doing a speaking. She was doing the land acknowledgement for the event,
right?
And I showed up to speak. And we had counter protesters for the Black Lives Matter rally. So we had the Black Lives Matter rally, and then we had all of the patriots, that showed up to counter protest.
Right.
And I end up finding myself as a veteran on the outer wall, as the patriots are trying to push through and interfere with what's going on as far as the rally went, the Black Lives Matter rally. Now, the Black Lives Matter rally was being pretty peaceful and all that.
Right.
But we had a lot of obnoxious individuals who came from out of state, so they weren't part of the community. They were there specifically to start trouble. And at that particular event, I actually ended up getting the back of my head used as a punching bag for about 15 seconds one day.
Holy shit, dude.
You know, so it's like there are members that are not averse to violence, that are not, you know, they're willing to take it to that next step.
Right.
You know, but that was an interesting situation because right now, Boise Police Department actually did a good investigation on it. They turned it over to the DA. The DA has not decided to prosecute on those two individuals that were caught on camera using me as a punching bag. You know, but the motorcycle club that those two individuals were part of have stripped them of their colors. So
gotcha.
Interesting when you got an outlaw motorcycle club that does more for justice than our.
Is it because of fear? Is it because they just don't want it to happen? They just don't want the drama to sprout up. I mean,
it's hard to say.
Yeah, that's freaking crazy. So are you looking at when's the is there any special election? Is there anything that's coming up for your district?
No, November 3rd.
Okay, so November 3rd is going to be, and have you guys had any debates? Have you guys had any? How does that work for your guys' legislative body? There's no debates. There's no. You guys going to get on?
There are debates. A lot of it depends on who sets it up. Most of our local stations will at least do the Democrat versus Republican.
Okay.
Now, Rudy and I have had one debate, and that was one hosted by the Idaho Veterans Wellness Center. And, you know, that was an hour one evening of Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
Rudy and I did the first one, then it was Congressional District 2 the next night, and then a third one for our senators. But to date, that's the only debate or forum I've been invited to where it was me and the other candidates.
Got it.
Now, there should be one for the major news organizations coming up. Haven't seen any of those invitations. They don't like to invite the third parties. Go figure.
God, I don't.
But we may.
Yeah,
we'll get some luck this time and actually, you know, have that third party sitting up on stage with the Democrat and Republican and saying, you know, you're both wrong because of points A, B, C, and D.
Right.
You know, what are you doing for us?
It's just fucking frustrating to see that because Joe Jorgensen and Spike Cohen have I think would have been a big. I think just the lack of spotlight, not really a spotlight, but highlighting a woman that's she's running for office. She's running for, you know, she's running for president. I don't see why no one's oh yeah, well, okay. Anyways, it's almost like, are they that threatened? I mean, is it to the point where they're that freaking threatened that you're not going to freaking let anybody speak?
Well, I mean, they were that threatened. You had Gary Johnson, you know, 4 years ago.
Yeah, Gary, what's Aleppo? yeah, Gary Johnson. yeah.
How do you disappoint a libertarian with one Aleppo?
Yeah.
What's
Aleppo, dude? Really? Could you? How do you feel about Aleppo?
It's in the context of what was going on, what was important to him at the time.
Right. No, I know. It's just
Aleppo was a non-issue.
Right,
He's
wasn't.
a libertarian. Bring our troops home. Who gives a damn what the name of a city in Syria is?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's another thing too. It's that if you know what the Libertarian Party is all about, it's almost like, what about it? But it's just the way, the context of what he said it. It even kind of, because it was during that time, everyone was ragging on everything that had to do with Syria. Anything and everything that had to do with Syria, it was up. So I guess the expectation was for him that he should at least have known Raqqa, Aleppo, the Kurds, the Yazidis. There should have been something kind of moving around in his head that would have given him that clue. But when he said, "What's Aleppo?" I'm like, "Oh, bro, come on." But anyways,
still, Gary Johnson, 4 years ago, he was doing pretty good. And that was another situation where we had an awful lot of people who were really disenchanted with both of the main candidates. I mean, your choices were Hillary or Trump.
Yeah.
Most people who were middle of the road, it's like, the bulk of the voters, we keep going on about white America, middle class America, your middle-aged boomers, Yeah, how many of us, like you and I, middle-aged veterans, are looking at that and going, you know what? It doesn't matter which one of them win, because I can live through it. So the question is how are other members of my community going to be able to succeed in this situation?
Right.
Because you have Hillary. Her husband was one of those who signed the tough on crime bill back in '94.
Yeah.
And she happened to enjoy the prison labor while she was First Lady of Arkansas. Because she actually goes on in her book about, the trustees from the prison. I mean, they were nice guys. Well, that was cheap state labor, Hillary.
Yeah, that was like 50 cents on the dollar, just about, per hour.
Well, yeah, and it's like, do you really expect her to reform the prison system when she actually happened to enjoy the results of the prison system in Arkansas? No, you don't. So it's like, okay, well, Trump's a wild card. Hillary, we get more of the same.
Yeah, I'm not really, yeah.
And here you got the exact same situation. I mean, it's so bad right now that you look at the Democrat and the Republican tickets and you go, okay, on one side I got Biden-Harris. Okay, Biden, 1994 crime bill.
Yeah.
He spent 40 years making money, making politics off of sending black people to prison.
Yep.
You got Harris, who extended sentences in order to make sure she had enough fire crews for the California fires. On one side, and you're going, wait, these are the people you trust to reform the justice system?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's so much we can get into the two as well. It's like, yeah, I know, I hear you, man. I totally hear you. Okay, so you got any last any last words before we go ahead and finish this up?
Vote for me. No, really. Step back. Do your research. Look at
exactly. No, I'm laughing because you're just like the one thing we've said. We've had libertarian. We had Vermin Supreme on. We had Spike Cohen. Now we have you. I laugh because I love the directness. Yeah, vote for me. You know what I mean? So what do you got? Come at me, bro. I love it because
it's like the libertarian mantra. We're here to take over the world, so we can pull up.
Well, I hate it. And one of the guys in the chat said it's frustrating to hear somebody say, "Don't waste your vote." Every time someone says you're going to vote for Libertarian, why are you wasting your vote? Why are you wasting your vote? Why do you give a shit who I'm voting for? You know what I mean? It's kind of like, that's that whole mentality is what's keeping the third party out of politics. Having that mentality. That's just me.
It really is. But Libertarian Party right now has over 250 individuals in office.
Right.
In public offices. Whether that's city councils, mayors, ombudsmen, whatever the position is, we have 250 people in seats at the state level and below.
Right.
So we have the grassroots movement. We've proven that libertarians can be successful in politics at the level where it's important, local. So the next step is to go ahead and ratchet it up and say, okay, well, we got too much control sitting in Washington, D.C. We got blanket policies. Our Department of Education says that what you're going to teach a kid in Detroit is the same thing you're going to teach a kid, who's going to grow up raising pigs. It's no, dude, that doesn't work.
Right.
So we need to decentralize. We need to give communities back the power. And right now, we have local communities with libertarian leadership. What we need to do is get Congress to cut loose all of those strings that they use to control those local leaders. Federal funds to education. School has to meet a mandatory staffing requirement in order to receive federal funds. Well, why are the feds holding school funds? The federal government has no constitutional obligation or requirement for education.
Right.
The states do. So why are the feds holding education funding? That's what we need to do as far as libertarian is. We need to step up and say, you know what? Give the power back to the people. 10th Amendment. Any power not reserved by the states or by the people, don't touch. And that's where we're losing things right now. Is we got Congress, we got the federal executive branch writing executive orders, that affect local communities, when these individuals have never seen the local community.
Yeah, I was about to say. Fucking don't get me started. I'll be ranting all fucking night about that shit. All right, Joe. Hey, man. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Ice.
Yeah.
Mom.
Yeah.
Appreciate this opportunity.
Yeah. And real quick, hey, stay on the line for a sec. Hey, real quick, what we're just again, this is Joe Evans, a Libertarian candidate for Idaho District 1. Vote for Joe, as he says. And taxation is theft. So we'll be right back. Everyone get some shots. Stand by.
Fading out, cirrus shapes I found blow me away. Van Allen right around, pushing through. Skin is brown, nature has us trapped in fear. So I get lost in sound. I wonder if you'll ever know why I am the way I am. Constellation theme, mapping stars that are meant to be. Geminis are free of suicidal kings. This misty maze of me, so obvious yet never seen. Feeling though the fog will lift to find me lost at sea. I've been thinking a lot. I've been thinking a lot about time and space surrounding. Is there anyone who is thinking like me? I've been thinking a lot about life and it's never ending. Is there anyone who is thinking like me?
Wear a condom We're in Fayetteville. No one gets STDs here.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
And we're back. Man. Woo! That was man, I was doing some research. Did you hear all the paper rustling in the background? I hope it didn't like get your distract you a little bit. That was some
some good stuff.
I was like that whole he brought up some of the child exploitation stuff, and there's some stuff that we're working on WTF Nation Radio and some projects that I've been working with some people, and we finally got some of the project stuff done, and it has everything to do with what Joe talked about, and I'm excited because once we get it up there and we get like those guests coming on, I don't want to pre-game the guests because then I don't want like Facebook to come in and shut us down and shit. You know what I mean? Because I'm gonna do a sneak attack. It's gonna be like
you want them to Epstein-ize or Epstein or how
I don't want to. Yeah, exactly. Is it even cool to like even joke around about that? It's like saying Beetlejuice or Candyman or something like that, or
don't say it another time because that'll be the third time.
Biggie Smalls or something. Like, if you say that 3 times in a mirror, no, it's kind of crazy knowing about another state, especially since I've been out there before and been out and about looking for places to live. I'm kind of glad you fucking told me. I'm glad I didn't put my flag up in Boise or in Idaho. You know, I'm like, woo, man, I am not going to. Yeah, I'm not. Nope. Hey, you want to go to Boise? Nope. Do you want to go? Nope. I didn't want to bring that up. God, I was kind of like, wow, I didn't realize there was such political chargedness with the evangelicals out there. I don't want to have a bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses knocking on my door or evangelicals, coming after me now, and because I made that comment. But I'm just saying, be like, I was just going over here and he just talking all this crap. Can I knocks on the door and shit and can I have your attention, please? I want to talk to you about your Lord and Savior. And I'm like, no, I just had a guest on, man. Shit. Because Jesus is Lord. I know I got some religious family members that are probably laughing, hopefully, because this is just a joke. And
some of them are like, "Yep, you're going to hell."
Some of them will be like, "Yep, you're going to hell, Ken." No, you better repent. And but anyways, so that was Joe Evans, Army veteran and Libertarian candidate for the Idaho District 1, and shooting the shit with us. Tomorrow we have Edward Payson. He is going to be coming on to talk about our friend John, and it's about John Hernandez, who passed away from complications stemming from sickle cell. He was writing a horror film he wanted to make with his friends, and upon his untimely death, his friends, who all have their own disabilities, decided to make the film in John's honor, even though they have nowhere to start. I could see this as like a friend / funny moments / sad moments /
I think it would be a good movie.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good movie. Yeah, I think it's going to be an awesome movie. And then kicking off the Cyber Series. The Cyber Series this Thursday on Sergeant's Time. I'm like, we are the Borg, or something like that. And resistance is futile. That type of stuff. We're going to have August Cole and Pete Singer. These are the guys that I can't wait. I'm sorry, man. This is all... If you don't speak 01s and 10s or whatever, don't like techie stuff, or don't like the battle of AI and the thought of AI rules and the thought of how our technology is expanding into, especially when it comes to psychological operations, influence operations, and deep fakes and social media exploitation, which is my forte.
TikTok? I'm just kidding.
TikTok. Yeah, exactly. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be fun. I'm only because... it's going to be kind of like a back and forth interview. They're going to talk to me about some of the stuff, and I'm going to talk to Ben about some of their stuff and some of our experiences. August is a writer, analyst, and as a consultant in specializing in national security issues. And this guy here has been all over the place in the defense realm, and he reported for the defense industry from 2007 to 2010 for the Wall Street Journal. From Washington, he covered companies ranging from Boeing, Blackwater, and a broader defense policy and political matters, and he helped break major national security stories, to include foreign cyber spies hacking into the Joint Strike Fighter program, major defense contractors, the development work, smart power in Africa, U.S. sales of F-16 fighters to Iraq, Blackwater civilian shooting incidents in Iran. He's discussed his reporting on CNBC, John Batchelor's So PRI the World, to the point with Warren Only and NPR's Day to Day. He's also one of the Ghost Fleet. They're talking about they also have that book Ghost Fleet. It's one of the AI thing. You guys gotta read this book, man. It's awesome. And then of course Pete Singer. Is a strategist at New America and professor of practice at Arizona State University, described as the premier futurist. Because there's people that really get hung up on that term futurist. What's a futurist? What is it? No,
really?
Oh my God, yeah, they think it's like there's some sort of snake oil salesman. Yeah, it's like they're going to be talking about shit as like a conspiracy theory. These two individuals have literally wrote the template, like what's happening right now. The book Burn In, which is what we're going to be talking about, is literally templating what's happening right now. Pandemic.
It's almost kind of like the whole what Netflix series is that?
Better Than Us.
No, what is it? The political one with that had Kevin Spacey in it.
I'm sorry. No, this is more AI stuff, but this is more like this is.
Oh yeah, true.
This is more AI geeky freaking tech robot stuff. So I'm thinking like I Am Mother. Think of the Better Than Us. Think of those type of cyber AI robotic events. I'm reading the book right now, Burn In, and I'm telling you what, he has been named as one of the 100 most influential people in defense issues, and also is listed as an official mad scientist for the U.S. Army's Training and Doctrine Command. No author, living or dead, has more books on professional military reading lists. And of course, his nonfiction books include Corporate Warriors, The Rise of Privatized Military Industry, Children at War, Wired for War, The Robotics Revolution, The Conflict of the 21st Century, Cybersecurity, Cyber War, and of course, Like War. You might have seen that about using social media tactics to influence. Think about all the memes and everything that's coming out right now on the president. All that stuff, all the fake shit. That's all been like foreign actors.
Yeah, but I mean, we live and breathe for memes.
Oh yeah, a meme is life. A meme, memes are life. and I'm talking about this is some good shit. So Like War has been named Amazon's Foreign Affairs Book of the Year, and Like War quote should be required by reading for everyone living in a democracy or who would aspire to. He's also the co-author of a new type of novel using the format of a techno-thriller to communicate nonfiction research. Of course, we're talking about Ghost Fleet, a novel of the next war, has been both a top summer read and has led to briefings everywhere from the White House to the Pentagon. The latest one, Burn In, a novel of real robotic revolution. I talk like it's going to be a movie because it should be a freaking movie. I'm reading this book and I'm flipping the pages. I'm like, holy shit, this is, oh man, I'm kind of, goofy when it comes to imagination. I'm a Star Wars fan and, Star Trek fan and all that geeky stuff and all that. So my imagination starts rolling. I'm thinking, holy crap. Has been described as from the creator of Lost and The Watchmen as a visionary new form of storytelling, a roller coaster ride of science fiction based blended with science fact. And by the head of Army Cyber Command says, "I love Burn In so much that I've already read it twice." The weaponized autism, exactly that. This is some unreal stuff. I'm serious. This is some. I'm telling you, if you read the Burn In book, every type of technology that's in Burn In book has been applied or is it's actual tech. It can have been used or is being used currently right now. So right now I'm in one of the pivotal points of the book where our hero meets the robot and a robot, some machineries and stuff like that. Just I don't know. It has that common. Robots are like anything. Like people, you never thought you would ever be watching TV or a movie on your phone, right? You never think about that. It's kind of has that real life used tech. Yes, it is. So it's kind of, like I said, I'm excited. So like I said, it's kicking off the cyber series because after that, we're working with 18th Airborne Corps to talk about their innovation. What they got some innovation stuff. Joe Pacino's going to come back on here and shoot the shit with us about it. This innovative stuff like that. And we also have working currently our friends over at the Cyber Center of Excellence and the Information Warfare Command. I'm pumped. This is exciting stuff. This is like cyber geek.
I'm sitting here like, okay, I have no clue what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Right.
You will be assimilated. Resistance is futile. lower your memes and surrender your ships. This is gonna be no, exactly. This is gonna be fun because meme warfare is a regular warfare. That's I cannot wait for this series to come out. This is gonna be fun. I like getting all that geeky stuff. There might be some broadcast stuff happening. I'll get you guys up spooled up what's happening by Thursday. We have some announcements to make about other stuff. But other than that, man, and also of course the project that I've been working on, like Joe just talked about, against fighting against child this shit just pisses me off when I was hearing about that law.
Yeah,
but guys are just
the
guys are just using the law to exploit young girls, and it's just like, man. Even
with the whole VA thing, like how female veterans don't get the same quality care as male veterans.
Right. There's been a study right now. There's a study underway as we speak within the DoD of infertility amongst women and in the military and veterans.
It's pretty high.
It's pretty high, and so they are. I mean, I know several women veterans and several women service member who have been trying their damnedest to get pregnant, and it's been kind of a. It's been kind of a, I don't know,
uphill battle.
Yes, I don't want to say it's an uphill battle, but it's an obvious trend that women who have been in the service have had to deal more with that stuff than women who have not. Yeah, exactly that. I don't know. It might be the anthrax shot. It might be all the stuff. We don't want to go into that because
it could be anything.
It could be anything.
Like,
yeah,
look at the burn pits.
Yeah, it could be the burn. Yeah, it could be the burn pits. It could be the anthrax shot. It could be all the vaccinations that we get. It could be some of the equipment that we use, some of the paints that we use in some of our equipment. Who knows, man? It just sucks. It's a crappy situation. So stay tuned with all that stuff. We're going to be bringing out more information on that. We're trying to get weren't we trying to get the Surgeon General to come back on again? The Army Surgeon General whatever happened to that? They kind of like said,
I think COVID happened.
Yeah. Okay.
It's 2020.
Yeah, it's 2020. Anyways, everyone, thanks for hanging out tonight. And then, with that, you got anything for me, Mom, or are you good?
No, everyone have a good night.
All right, y'all have a good night. Shots.
Hey, this is SEAC retired John Wayne Troxel. You're listening to WTF Nation Radio, the station of choice for all of the badass MFers on the planet.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Intergalactic horse, and we'll ride into the sun, yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. Now they say that they've discovered life up there on Mars, so let's blow it all to hell and then claim it for ours. We'll paint the moon red, white, and blue for no other reason than we wanted to. Oh, Jupiter, imagine what you could become. A stupid, pointless planet turned into a giant gun. And Russia, so sorry, have to burst your bubble. Be a good sport, now sit back, relax, and watch us through the hubble as we celebrate the greatness of the United Planets of America. Space Force, we'll saddle up our intergalactic horse, and we'll ride into the sun, yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. Now we'll go to infinity and beyond, beyond. You'll hear our manly voices singing Space Force strong. The critics say sound doesn't travel in space, to which we reply sound will do as we say. Oh, Captain Kirk, your achievements, though notable and fine, as far as we're concerned, this is Deep Space Mine. And big fans, but Lord Vader, step away from the lightsaber. There can only be one, of course. Space Force. Ra-da-da-da-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum, dum, 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 ra-da-da-da-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum, dum, 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 dum. Space Force, Space Force. We'll saddle up our intergalactic horse, and we'll ride into the sun, yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. Space Force.
Good evening, boys and girls. This is Tim Kennedy. I'm a Special Forces sniper, a Ranger qualified Green Beret, a UFC fighter. Please listen to us and the shenanigans that we're going to say. We will insult you. There will be racial slurs. We will be sexist. We will offend you. But there will be magic, and a unicorn will be raped. So enjoy the show. Thank you for listening on WTF Nation Radio.